2 years ago, I set myself a mission to give Marvel an ultimatum that they should cast me in their upcoming Fantastic Four movie, so I could take it down from the inside. This was, as I'm sure you'll agree, a flawless plan. However, they seem to have gone rogue. And I'm not dressed appropriately for this. Number 11. To once again show my dedication to this role, I will sport this moustache from the current run of Fantastic Four until Marvel changes their minds. Because yeah, they may have cast the role now, but I'm pretty sure they'll come around. I mean, who else would show such dedication to one character that they will sport this for such a length of time, despite it looking completely ridiculous? I'm sorry, but I agree with the Fantastic Four. Like, it's not a good look, Johnny. It is a look. You can't take that away from it, but is it a good one? It's debatable. So I'm now reshooting my reshoots because the audio didn't work, which is just fantastic. Very on brand for this video. So about a month ago, I filmed my thoughts and initial reaction to, well, not initial reaction, it was about 2 weeks out, but I filmed my thoughts after a couple of weeks from the announcement of the actual Fantastic Four cast, and I didn't put it up because I couldn't figure out how to get my footage onto my computer because my normal way of doing it wasn't working. But finally I found a way. So I thought in the meantime, without shaking the camera, in the meantime I'll update some thoughts and things that I may have left out of the video initially and things like that. Oh, you lucky so-and-so, you get my thoughts from last month and this month? You must think Christmas has come early. So, giggles aside, I actually wanted to make a more serious video on the fact that the Fantastic Four cast has been announced, because I did make a video about 2 years ago and then just kind of left it. I just kind of disappeared and didn't make more videos, which I thought I would do, because the actual whole point of that video was to try and make myself a bit more confident, because I am naturally a very shy person, and I thought if I can do this, then, you know, I can see where it goes, because being just me and a camera, I can pretty much do whatever. I'm in control of the editing. I can look directly in the camera and talk like that, or I can look off camera and just look at myself, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, you know, I choose what goes up, so I thought, it's easy. I can do it. But then obviously, like, real life stuff happens and you overthink things, especially for me, because I am a bit of a major overthinker, and I put stuff off, which I really didn't want to do, because I wanted any news that came out of the Fantastic Four film to kind of grow with it. And I thought starting off with a fun parody would be a good way to go about it. And I think I did a relatively good job. I wouldn't say it's the most amazing video in the world, but I made a conscious effort. But it did help me build a bit of an online presence, and I did keep on posting stuff on my personal Instagram, which I think may have been to the annoyance of some people, so they're going on the list of apologies. I mean, like obviously you can't please everyone, and that's fine. You know, I feel like I'm still relatively quite a nice guy. But you just post some stupid stuff sometimes. And yeah, I just wanted to have a bit more of an honest talk of my feelings now that the Fantastic Four cast is set in stone as such. With Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal wouldn't have been my first choice, just because, like, he is the big new up-and-coming star at the moment, and that's completely fair and fine. And he's a damn good actor, I will give him that. And if you haven't seen him in the Community reunion during COVID, he's absolutely brilliant as the lawyer that comes in for Pierce. I think it's a lawyer? I can't remember, but Community is a great show, you should give it a watch. And obviously he was in the adaptation of The Last of Us, which I still haven't seen yet, despite being one of my favourite games. And he just seems like an all-round good guy. But he's not really who I can picture as the smartest man in the world. I think I could imagine someone with a bit more of a scientific look to them, if that makes sense. Like, Pedro Pascal just looks like a friendly guy, whereas like Reed Richards, there's a misconception that Reed Richards is a cold character. But he can be distant, And I think that is because, like, just by his nature, he is very focused on his work, but he's also a family man. He wouldn't be called Marvel's first family for nothing. But Pedro's a great actor, and I'm sure he can pull it off. But I think that the fan cast, I'm bad at fan casting, but in my mind, the one that always sticks out that I've seen online is Billy Crudup, I think that's his name. Crudup? Yeah, Billy Crudup. I think, yeah, Billy Crudup. Billy Crudup. I've seen fan cast as Reed Richards, who played Dr. Manhattan in the 2009 Zack Snyder film, and I think he would be pretty perfect for it. But obviously we've got Pedro Pascal, so we'll go with that. Eben Moss-Bachrach as a thing is one of the most perfect casting choices to me, because to have an actual Jewish actor playing Ben Grimm is brilliant, because being Jewish is so important to Ben's character, and it's also a tribute to Jack Kirby. So I just think that will be absolutely wonderful, and I've only just started watching The Bear, but that I've heard is a very good show, and obviously that's what put him on the map. And Eben does have that Ben Grimm look to him, I would say. So him and Vanessa Kirby, who also honours Jack Kirby in her name in some kind of way, looks like Sue Storm, like, straight out the page to me. Those are like the two best casting choices. I haven't seen her in anything yet, but I'm sure that she'll do a good job. I mean, she looks the part, so you can't go wrong there. The most important of the four of them is Joseph Quinn playing the Human Torch, and it obviously, first of all, should have been me. I made an absolutely compelling campaign, but no, I think that he'll do a fine job, but again, like Pedro Pascal, he wouldn't be my first choice. The reason that he wouldn't be my first choice is because he just doesn't quite have that cool guy look to him. Obviously, he's most known for playing quite a geeky character in Stranger Things. That's where I know him, and I'm sure the majority of people do. And like the other people that were thrown out from the Stranger Things cast, I think maybe could have made a more traditional Johnny Storm. But I also think that Joseph Quinn, you know, he can look the part, and from that teaser picture, he looks like Johnny Storm to me, and I don't really have that many complaints. I think he can and probably will do a good job. I don't know why some people think that he'll have an English accent just because he's an English actor. Tom Holland's an English actor. I mean, awful Spider-Man. Yeah, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I do not like his Spider-Man, which I'll go into in a future video maybe. But yeah, like overall, that cast is pretty solid, I'd say. There would be some changes here, but also I'm not a casting director. I'm looking forward to it more than I was, which I'm glad about, because I haven't liked the MCU for a long time, and I'm not someone that's like, oh, it fell off after Endgame. I didn't care for the MCU since Civil War. The reason for that is because after that was Doctor Strange, which I didn't get to see in cinema. That was the first MCU film in like a 8-year streak at that point, 9-year streak, like that I hadn't seen in cinemas. And my excitement was just kind of gone. It became more about the history of the films than the comics for me. And I am a comic guy at heart. I've read a lot of modern comics, and my biggest secret is I haven't read the classics. Well, I haven't read that many classics, and I need to read more. And that's part of what I want to do as well this year. I want to try and read a lot of classic Fantastic Four especially, and see my thoughts and solidify, because as much as I want things to be like the comics, you know, I haven't read a lot of comics, and obviously sometimes changes can be for the better. The rumoured villains of the film are Galactus and Silver Surfer, which wouldn't be the worst villains for it, but I think for being the first bad guys that they face, it wouldn't be a great idea, because they're a galactic level threat, or at least Galactus is, and Silver Surfer is best boy. But yeah, that's kind of something that you build up towards, kind of like Doctor Doom, which the other film should have learnt. But a good starting villain that I came to the conclusion of after thinking about it and umming and erring is the Puppet Master. I think he'd be really good, because there would be stakes within the family to keep him okay while also defeating him, because of him being the stepfather of Alicia. And there'd be a dilemma there, because obviously Ben would start falling in love with Alicia, and that would be an interesting dynamic, I think, as like a first villain. And obviously his mind control clay I can't think of it off the top of my head. I should, as a big Fantastic Four fan, but as I mentioned, I haven't read a great deal of the classic comics. I have read an absolute ton of comics, as you can see there. But classic-wise, they were something that I would always skip over because I was a silly little boy. And now I'm trying to read more of them. My other speculation, like, why are they doing it? Of it being set in the 60s, like, that didn't blow my mind. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like, the poster for it looks amazing, and if they keep that aesthetic, that will be so good. But the thing is, would that make more characters lost in time? Because you've already got Captain America, you've technically got Captain Marvel with her being from the 90s, although she's like just got longevity. But I don't think it might be a thing in the comics. I haven't read too much on Carol Danvers. I've got the first couple volumes of the 2012 run where she becomes Captain Marvel from Miss Marvel. But yeah, obviously she's not an older hero, she wasn't one of the first. That's again like an MCU thing. But it's how many characters are like trapped in time, and if they do things with the quantum realm, the microverse, if they do things with the microverse where they get stuck in there, it wouldn't be the worst, or obviously more on theme with the Fantastic Four, the negative zone. It wouldn't be the worst idea, but it's also just, I wouldn't want their supporting cast to be that much younger than them or that much older than them, and then, you know, they go and visit them, and like Alicia Masters is like an old lady, and then Ben Grimm, like, you know, there's Ben Grimm and Alicia, they're iconic, and it would be cool to like have them all in the same time period. And before, I would have complained about them not interacting with the other heroes and that being a part of the amount of time. But if they keep to the 60s theme, at this point that might be for the better. It would be good if they got a solid trilogy that shows why they are good characters. And if that requires them being stuck in the past, then okay. Like, I would prefer them to be set in a modern setting, because part of the Marvel fandom that feels like they can only work in the 60s or work in a past setting because they couldn't work in the modern day. I'm not of that opinion. I think they can work in many settings, because especially with Jonathan Hickman's run, which is probably the most recent successful run, and Ryan Wolf's current ongoing run, they're both successful ones that are set in modern periods and doing well and showing how the family can work. Comet's sleeping, he agrees. And after seeing certain bits of fan art online of the Fantastic Four cast, I can see how they would work. I am a personal beardless Reed defender. As you may notice, I've done 2 gags in my videos where I have a beard and then get rid of it. It's because I'm not really a beard guy. I don't really like them. So, you know, Reed with his daddy beard isn't my favourite, let's say. I would much prefer a clean-shaven gentleman for my Reed. Like, overall, I am looking forward to the film. I'm interested to see where it goes, what direction it's heading. I have some things to mull over, I suppose, and think like, would that actually work? Wouldn't that work? But no, I'm intrigued, and if it keeps to that style, we could be in for something good. But yeah, also the costumes, like, they're not too MCU-ified, and they look like jumpers, which isn't bad, you know, you're keeping it casual, but do they need the kind of high-tech lines on it and all the like things on the belt? Like, I like the solid colours, belt, colour, boots. It's just, you know, it works. And this is obviously Ultimate Fantastic Four, which I got after I did my big video. But I feel that simple costumes are better and bolder, you know, rather than overcomplicated MCU nonsense. Which I feel like, I think that all started because of Iron Man being a success and being the first character that they did. And then they just kind of carried it on from there. I think they should have just kept it with Iron Man because it makes sense because it's a metal suit. It doesn't make sense for any of the other characters, in my opinion. Like, Captain America has his chainmail in the comics, and they never adapted that as such, you know, in a proper way. And all the little intricacies and like breaks in the costumes are just, they never quite click for me. But we'll see. We'll see. I have more hope for it than I did before, but I should have been the Human Torch.